Alright, call me old, but I'm of the generation where the original seasons of SpongeBob, the first three and maybe some of season 4, are untouchable. But the later seasons just aren't the greatest. They're almost like a completely different show. And after feeling like a fogey...
Bogey! Wow, haven't heard that word in a long time. I'm 30 though, thanks.
I think I figured out why. So, in this video for the Borealis company, we're going to take a look at SpongeBob SquarePants and how it portrays the character's intelligence in 2 specific episodes. More specifically, we're going to take a look at what it means to write intelligence, how it applies to SpongeBob as a character, and how you can apply it as a storyteller and as the protagonist of the story that is your life.
We can do this the hard way or the easy way, or the medium way, or the semi-medium easy hard way.
Allow me to clarify. Writing intelligence is not the same as writing an intelligent character. Writing an intelligent character is deliberately writing a character that's smarter than another or the rest of the characters in the story. It's designing your character by comparing them to other characters. A perfect example of this is Sherlock Holmes, where his intelligence is practically a superpower. In some stories, it even is a superpower. Writing intelligence is designing situations and actions that help the character act in their full potential. It's why, even though we love to see Sherlock discombobulate, Watson is just as capable in his own way, because both characters are written to act at their most intelligent, respectively. This idea comes from the book 27 Essential Principles of Story by Daniel Joshua Rubin. He puts it in his own words, but Rubin explains that by writing characters at their most intelligent, they can feel like a proper actual being or have a real function in the narrative, instead of feeling wasted or having unearned moments. The examples he uses in the book, very, very well, I may add, include Floyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber and Laurie Strode from Halloween. They're not rocket scientists by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, one's a teenage babysitter and the other one is purposely designed to be stupid. But they act out of the best logic they can come up with, which is why we laugh at Floyd and root for Laurie. Now, let's take a look at this principle in the context of SpongeBob. I'm going to be taking a look at the episodes Gary Takes a Bath and A Pal for Gary. I picked these 2 specifically and not I'm with Stupid, even though that has to be an honorable mention here, because they have very similar character interactions, if not very similar plots. They're both predominantly between SpongeBob and his pet snail Gary, but the way they go about that are very, very different. In the first episode, SpongeBob only has one goal: to get Gary to take a bath. And consequently, Gary also has one goal: to not get in the bath. A Pal for Gary is about SpongeBob getting another pet to keep Gary company, only for the pet to become a horrifying monster that tries to eat Gary and eventually SpongeBob himself. Now, with Gary Takes a Bath, SpongeBob continues to innovate by finding Wile E. Coyote-level plots to trick and chuck Gary into the bath, and Gary gets out of it with the same luck and logic as the Roadrunner, either by SpongeBob's plans backfiring or Gary actually outsmarting him. But you can tell effort is being made on both sides. You can tell this is SpongeBob at the end of his rope and working as hard as he possibly can to make sure that he achieves his goal, even if he is short-sighted, which makes it easy for Gary to be one step ahead. A Pal for Gary, on the other hand, does not show this side of SpongeBob. Instead, he's absent, aloof, and even accusatory towards Gary when things go down, claiming that Gary's being mean towards the new pet when he's the one who has to survive and protect both of them, which, I don't know about you guys, but surprisingly left me frankly irritated as a grown-ass man, because I know this is not SpongeBob at his most intelligent. If anything, it's probably Gary at his most patient. The only way I could see this be rectified is if this episode came out before Gary takes a bath, so we see his intelligence grow and develop over time. But that being said, I think the show would have to be fully serialized to show that development properly, instead of its episodic format, which basically means it's a different timeline every time for all we know. Now, I threw a lot of story theory at a children's cartoon, but how do we take this idea of writing somebody at their most intelligent and apply it to you and your life? A motivational speaker would probably translate this as working just slightly outside of your comfort zone. You know the cliche of, I didn't go to medical school for 10 years just to be called Mister. Well, if we applied the story principle to life in general, it means pushing yourself to do things that challenge you and encourage you to grow, because you have to step into your full potential, which will continue to expand, so that way designing your life to act at your most intelligent allows you to never truly plateau. In a less pretentious way, saying that you didn't go to medical school for 10 years just to be called Mr. implies that you're being presented with something that does not allow you to act at your full potential or as your best self. It's also a good principle to be present, because when you're acting at your most intelligent, you're mandating yourself to be aware and mindful of the current situation. A good communicator could call this active listening. You're intentionally taking in information so you can use this information to better your connection and your relationships. Maybe, if that was taken into account, SpongeBob would have actually gotten rid of that damn abomination and actually gotten Gary into the bathtub. But that's just my 2 cents or more. Let me know what you guys think, and be sure to subscribe to get more storytelling insights. And tell me in the comments if you want to see something in particular, whether that's more SpongeBob or another Nickelodeon show, or something else entirely, such as the next video coming up about my favorite first-person shooter of all time.
Get in the tub! In the tub! In the tub!